views and opinions expressed on Geeks Under the Influence are that of the panelists and not of our sponsors, Amazon.com and TeePublic. Parental discretion is advised.
There's not like a wizard ghost. There's not like a ghost that shows up with a staff. If there's any Balrogs around, I got this shit covered. It's not...
Gandalf as a ghost.
Right.
How would we do this?
They actually have done wizard ghost once before. Is Orko from He-Man. He's not. I guess he's not technically a ghost. He's a floating, like alien creature thing, I guess.
Well, the way they kind of describe him is it's more like with all the sorcerers and the sorceress. Yeah, there you go. Can't even say that fucking word. And
Sorcerai.
Wizards. Sorcerai. Hey, there we go.
Those magical people.
It's fucking spells and shit.
Spooky folks.
They die, but like they kind of get recycled into the magic that is in Eternia. I feel like it's kind of where they were explaining.
Like the energy cycles through.
It's the energy that feeds.
Right.
They just kind of go back in and feed, and then they feed someone else.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
So they're just more in tune with the energies of Eternia than the other creatures that exist on that same plane.
But there could be specifics like Orko did say very specific that, well, when this happened, that's how I'm back now.
Yeah, the energy got increased.
Right.
Yeah.
So, raising the dead, and since he was technically a physical being as well, he got the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
True. Spoilers.
Spoilers on parts 1 and 2 of Masters of the Universe.
Yeah, we had to correct ourselves a lot. The first part,
and honestly, especially with the second one, talk about hammering home that it's not a He-Man show. It is a Masters of the Universe show. All the characters, including He-Man, that are a part of this, and that is so clear, especially in the second part.
Yes.
Of Revelation. Like, you really have a fundamental understanding that if they were trying to tell the He-Man story, they wouldn't have time to develop the rest of the world as much as they have in this version.
It was almost like what they kind of spoiled for you about Star Wars is that it's not about He-Man, it's about Teela.
Yeah.
It's really like her story big time.
It is, but it's not so over the head with just her.
Oh, true.
No, but I mean, I agree. It definitely is telling, well, her story and Man-at-Arms story. Like it's like that. Everyone but the royal family's story, kind of, predominantly with a magnifying glass on Teela.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. And I think that if Kevin Smith and team didn't go this route with it, it would, like, as much as everybody bitched about part 1 and then not having He-Man in it for more than 20 minutes, the entire 5 episodes.
I'm gonna shake my head again at that.
They think that's what they want.
Yeah.
They would have been bored. I said this on part 1. If it had not gone this route, it would have failed fucking miserably. Even though it got bad ratings at first, they still had a part 2 come out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What does that say?
And I'm so glad they did, because I before we get too much further into it, let's do the introduction, because oh my goodness, I'm so excited.
This part 2 was
a lot to say.
bonkers awesome.
And some of those most metal shit that you could ever do.
Yes.
I mean, oh my, I really want to talk about that. Before we do that, let's intro you. Thank you so much for listening. We are doing part 2 of Masters of the Universe Revelation, the Kevin Smith produced series that's available on Netflix. Part 1 came out several months ago.
Yeah, it was summer.
2 or 3 months. No, only just 2 or 3. It was fall time.
2 or 3 months ago.
Was
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
It was late summer, early fall.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And this is part 2. And there is conversation about there being a third part, and it did leave that open up as hell.
Yes.
But I feel like this is still well formed as a 2-part. So if this is what we get, it's still pretty.
Oh, for sure.
Pretty well done.
Yeah.
But I'm over the moon about it. I want to talk about the difference between the first part and the second part, and so much more on this episode of Geeks Under the Influence. Welcome.
Whee! Have the power.
Things at work and shall be again. A changing of the guards, the tides marching in. You think you can hold out, but you know you're wrong, so you better join us now. You better do it fast, or you will be dead. Right, don't know the gun, 'cause it's compromised the dead. You play it safe.
Now, before we get started, before we get started, I really want to talk about the fist in the room.
Dude.
Oh, that line.
No, I'm sorry. That was so cringeworthy, dude.
No, I loved it. They had to.
No, they did. No, God.
to.
Well, they did another one, too. It's like, it's time this miss needs the fist or some shit that, too. I was like, oh, God.
It was like, I want to fist him.
Yeah, I really want to fist that guy or some shit. Like, oh, fuck.
No, that was such a callback to conversations my friends and I had years ago, and I think I talked about it on part 1 as well, is that we used to, after New Year's Day, we would watch like Pee-wee's Playhouse and He-Man episodes and drink mimosas and just recover from New Year's Eve.
Right.
And watching old He-Man, it was so unplanned homoerotic. Like it was doing so many like very sexual things where it wasn't really intending to, or at least we were told that they weren't planning on.
Right.
That line alone suggests to me that was just a callback to, we all know there was some really fucking sexual stuff in the early He-Man.
We know why there's all tights and loincloths in this show.
Let's give it one line that is clearly not okay.
It's clearly why they gave Adam's haircut a upgrade.
Right?
Like in this new series.
That bowl cut was not doing it anymore.
You've got Kevin fucking Smith producing a He-Man show, and there's a character called Fisto. Do you think there's not going to be one fisting joke?
Oh, for sure.
It was just
for
so
sure.
like, oh, it's like I really want to fist that guy. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I don't think it would have done as much justice if they tried to do a subversive fisting joke. They had to do a pretty open.
Like maybe if they just had him stated there, like, "Ooh, I'm gonna get him," and he's just shaking his fist, like,
shaking his fist.
No, I get it. It was just like, oh, it's one of those ones. Like, I laughed, but I was like shaking my head.
It did. It took me out of the moment for a second, but also I wasn't terribly mad.
I'm not gonna lie. I did pause for a second to go, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
I'm like, just oh man.
I got to say that's probably that is the like crown jewel of cheese in this part 2.
Oh yeah,
Very
Out
much
of all 5
so.
episodes, that line was like that. That was it. But,
The chef's kiss of throwback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of the crowning jewel of cheese, the crowning jewel of cheese on this network is the Geek Father himself, the one that has stolen the banner of the dad jokes because he is an actual father that tells these jokes honestly every day of his life.
If the mantle fits,
fist it.
or I'll fist it real good.
Fist it real good.
Yes.
We've got Scotty P, the Geek Father here.
What's up, guys? What's happening?
Fisting dad jokes wherever he can.
Oh, fisting all night long.
Yeah. Heard that about you.
Yes.
Oh,
That's all I've got. I mean, I'm afraid to go any further with that at this point.
Jen's going to listen and be like, what have you been telling them?
There's a reason why she doesn't listen to our shit.
That's probably better.
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
There's a reason why I'm still married.
Don't want
Next
those
one,
conversations.
If he was to fist his wife, she would be not alive anymore. The man with the knuckles for days, the big old meaty mitts that no one deserves to be put inside their body. We've got.
You realize I'm just gonna call you Meaty Mitts now.
Meaty Mitts. That's his. That's his He-Man character. Is Meaty Mitts.
Meaty Mitts. Nice. Oh, what were we trying to come up with? There was an episode previously where we were trying to come up with our name for something, and I don't know if it was part 1 of this or if it was something else. But yeah, for this Meaty Mitts, I'll take it.
Meaty Mitts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll take it. Meaty Mitts.
Lowdown Meaty Mitts MacGyver is here.
What's going on, everybody? Fuck. Oh, it's already.
I'm afraid to speak anymore.
Already. Yeah,
Tell me
no.
if you didn't try to fist somebody with those hammers, like they wouldn't split in half.
I would never try. I'd say no. I'm not doing this to you. The man who apparently we're going to be talking about fisting the whole episode
The
now.
whole episode.
We got Mike.
That's it.
Mike the fisting Bickett.
No. Look, I don't have as medium mitts as yours, but I have what they call bassist hands, so they're thick and sausagey. So they're not the best fisting hands.
Well, it depends how tight.
I mean, that's true. It's
There you go.
time and place situation.
Exactly. There you go.
Most of the fisting that I do is fisting in segways where they don't belong. Is where
You do that.
most of my
Fair.
magic comes.
That's
Do that.
legit.
You fist
That's
dough.
legit.
I do fisto. I do a fisto.
Fisto.
There we go. And it all comes around.
Oh my god.
It works the way it's supposed to work.
This
Now
is
that part
I hate
3,
it.
they need a bakery that Fisto owns, like Fisto.
No, if you open up a bakery, it's going to be called Fisto.
Fisto.
It's got to be called Fisto,
Yep, for sure.
dude.
Agreed.
On that note,
Agreed.
check out GUIPodcast.com for links to this show and other shows on the network, all the links to our social media. Join the conversations and let us know what you want to hear on future episodes, what you liked about previous. And generally just join the dialogue. We're always around to talk shop when it comes to the shows that we're doing.
Yippee
So,
You
skippy.
normally can't shut us up.
yeah,
so.
no shit. Well,
Yeah.
anybody that's listened to more than just one show
Yeah.
of this podcast.
And bless you for that, by the
Yeah,
way. Bless you,
appreciate it.
child.
Yes.
So, Revelation Part 2. We come in, beginning of the episode is right after the end of Part 1, where Skeletor has gotten the Sword of Power.
Yep.
And now
Right.
he is like Jack Diesel cut as fuck, like horn hat.
Dude, that costume, dude, looks so fucking rad.
It does.
Rad.
Actually, really what opens this one is where we get the true find out about the Man-at-Arms with the sorceress, like, fully backed up and
again,
ready. Like,
building on the backstory, like those characters have been there, you know, in the universe
Yep.
yeah.
from OG, and now we're like, holy fuck!
Well, this was all suggested in the original series as well. So
Exactly,
we
yeah.
knew that Tila was the daughter of the sorceress. We kind of knew that Man-at-Arms was her dad.
They still said it like she was still adopted by Man-at-Arms, but they still let
They alluded
Yeah,
a
oh
little
yeah,
bit.
Yeah,
very
yeah.
much so.
But I mean, like just seeing the actual story and you know,
Right.
digging into that and and that is like the overarch of Part 2.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, that's awesome.
And I
Yeah.
love that with Kevin Smith, he's like, okay, so all the like people say nobody's fucking in old Eternia, but in this version of Eternia, people are fucking. Like
Yeah.
Man-at-Arms is not the adoptive father. Like he fucked a sorceress.
Yeah.
He was like,
Absolutely.
I was man at dick at least one night of my life.
Man at dick.
Man, they call it a baby arm.
Baby arm, man at baby arms.
Man, a baby arm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Damn it, working title.
I'm turning into Cringer here.
Yeah, fair.
Oh, no.
Oh,
But no,
fuck.
there's so much fucking happening in this version.
Oh, so
Um,
true.
But I do love that it sets up that this is like the darkest that Eternia has ever had to deal with, where like Skeletor is now king shit of fuck mountain. He's got the Sword of Power. He's about to fuck shit up.
Well, I
and-
think
Yep.
it's the darkest.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
hold my beer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
get to
We
that.
ain't done yet.
Yeah.
But still, at this point, his singular focus is to kill He-Man.
Right.
After getting the Sword of Power, and then also Evil Lyn being like, because I need a new sorceress.
Yeah. I need a manager still.
So I'm
You
going to
know.
give you this really awkward, like, crow outfit thing to wear.
It was a bat.
Bat. I'm sorry, bat.
It's a
Yeah, it was a bat.
Bat
Yeah.
sorceress outfit to wear.
Right. Bad
So
sorceress
hope
outfit to
you
wear.
like that. That's
Yeah.
that's what you're going to be wearing for 3/4 of this part.
As great as the second part was, even like stepping up above part one, there were still a couple things where I'm just like, you went that way, huh?
Oh, definitely, yes.
Okay. Okay.
I
you know,
did love the second part, but yeah, there's definitely some in there as well.
yeah, there's some lines. There's besides the one we already talked about, but
Yeah.
there's a couple other lines and just certain things where you're just like, you really could have angled that a little bit differently and done all right, you know.
So the first thing that we run across is that there's the initial battle that ended the first part is still happening.
Yes.
And Skeletor is now like fuck you powerful, and he's not even he's just gotten the power. He hasn't really learned how to fully engage the power that he has.
Right.
And he's learning that. He's fucking with everybody that's there, and Cringer's kind of doing the best that he can without the power, and everybody's kind of doing their best to.
Adam is about to die again.
Adam's about to die
Part
again.
two.
Yeah.
Man at Arms is hanging in there. Everybody's trying to do their best. Then what happens that they get away?
Sorceress helps him get away.
Sorceress helps.
OG sorceress.
OG sorceress
and
gets
then
them to get
ends
away.
up dying in the process.
Yes.
Right.
And then they travel. They're running back to Grayskull, basically. I mean,
Well, no, she transports them back to the main
That's right.
city.
Yeah.
she
Back to the palace or whatever it is, and that's when they realize the city's been evacuated, and what was it? Is that where he starts raising the dead and all that stuff starts happening? Where he,
where
he
he's
gets all large and he makes the big announcement of like, I am God.
and
now.
he transforms everybody into like a Skeletini or whatever you want to call his minions.
Skeletini, I'll
Remember,
take.
like all the villains just turned into like Skeletor.
Yeah.
A little Skeletors.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
Skeletors. It was weird.
I wonder
It
if
was
they
like
got
little
that idea
Skeletor
from the...
mini-me's.
Yeah, it was like-
I'm wondering
yeah.
if they got that from the meme. If they were like, let's make a bunch of little Skeletors.
They weren't little. I mean, they were pretty fucking big.
Oh, yeah.
I saw in the credits they were called Vern Skeletroyers. Is what they were.
I quit.
No? Okay. That was a reach.
That was
a pretty big reach.
Stroke and reach.
But but then that does lead into to the one-liner to kick off the show.
Yes.
When Fisto and what was it, Clamp something, Clamp Man or something?
Trap? No, that's a different.
No, that's Trap Jaw.
Yeah.
We had Clamp Man or something. I mean, you got to remember how simplistic the names are.
They're so simplistic, but then they're so
it's actually
Clamp
Goldenstein is his full name, but he goes by Clamps.
Get out. Just get out.
Yeah. He's God.
You haven't heard the last of Clampfield Goldenstein.
I just don't know what to do with you anymore.
But yeah, so then they fight, and like he releases like this mist. Skeletor does. It's like a big fart cloud of purple.
Yeah.
And then everyone's getting their ass kicked basically by these fucking Skeletors.
Tila healed Adam, which is so she's finding out about. The big kicker is that she's able to use magic, and that's what this is all building on.
Which is why that scene at the beginning was so important, because the mom actually blessed her with the whole Jimmy Jam.
Blessed her, but then when you find out towards the end of the actual run of the part 2 is that was the ultimate sacrifice of her to be the all-powerful sorceress.
Who's not getting time with it. Well,
but
that's what she thought she had to do.
Well,
Tila's like, I got something for you, Mom.
I wasn't going to throw too many spoilers about that yet.
Well,
I mean, we're in full spoiler country.
True.
So, yeah.
But what that did was lock her into the whole mythos of you can't leave Grayskull because you're the sorceress. You got to manage the power and blah 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 blah.
Well, that's actually a good curb into a conversation that I want to have about like this take on Eternia and its characters and kind of the passing of the torch that's happening in a number of different levels on this version. I don't want to do necessarily a play by play on this series so much as really talking about like what it is trying to convey. You've got Man-at-Arms that later on in the series hands over his title. You've got Sorceress that hands over her title. You've got He-Man that, though he doesn't necessarily hold over his title, there are different iterations of He-Man that you see.
There are generations of that.
There also his title as the champion. His title as the champion is still intact, but what that means is different now at the end of this series than it was at the beginning. There's this transitionary conversation that's happening with so many of these characters, and it's also talking about like transitions between the king and the queen and how they have handled the kingdom up to this point and how it will continue on further.
Right. And definitely because I watched this part 2 twice. So definitely like getting more into the like feeling that like where the last 3 Star Wars movies basically did, it's like introducing you, like you still have the old garb, but you're reintroducing the people who are taking over the story and doing this. And that's exactly where it may not have been a complete rollover, because you did have what's Tila's friend Arden or Ardena?
The one who took over Man-at-Arms?
Right.
Yeah. As the captain of the guard or
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah. You have a couple of the newer characters like that, but then at the same time, this is where it could open up for that part 3 that we have fingers crossed for.
Yeah. Man-at-Arms isn't retired, but as far as for working for the Royal Kingdom,
right?
Like
he's taken on a slightly different role.
Exactly. I mean, he's clearly going to train her because there's just more to it than her rogue ways. So there's a lot of opening for that stuff too, as well as like Hobbit said, champion does mean something different, and that goes back to part 1. If they hadn't have shown their heaven,
oh yeah,
you would have seen, like, we had no idea on the original series about these past champions. Not to the scale that
again, it was one of those things where I want to say that like you got the bare minimum that you knew that there was a He-Man before the current He-Man, but
you didn't know what that really meant.
Oh, you didn't have the full mythos.
Exactly.
Nothing.
So
nothing. Again,
with Smith and his team expanding this universe now, like I feel like it meant something different at the end of this season, but I think it was always meant to. And from the beginning, from the 80s show, it was always meant that, but now we're just seeing why and how it happens when it hands down. Well, you know what I mean? Like, we're actually getting why it happens.
And even in a general sense, and I think that's why, because what was that? I made the joke to somebody where it was just like, oh, this new series finally makes the old show make sense, because the original series was going nowhere.
Well, you think of the literal title of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. Masters of the Universe is an immensely cool title.
Yes.
Right.
But you don't get the full fleshed out understanding of as to what that means until part 2 of this version.
Exactly.
of
Yeah.
it, where you get, oh no, like literally, and just a very quick breakdown on how absolutely fucking metal this universe is. It explains in part 2 that God created everything, created the apex where all the energy and power of the universe exists, and then fucking died. God is dead, and the power exists without anybody controlling it. And then in the same swath, you've got somebody that murders heaven and then pulls hell up to be its minions on a fight for the power of the universe.
Right. Well,
this is the most fucking metal shit that I've ever seen.
Even before that, where Adam proves he doesn't need the sword to call the power because he's the champion, but because you don't have the sword, it's like unbridled power, and he becomes axe wielding like
Hulk.
Neanderthal, like
axe-wielding Hulk.
Oh yeah, it's Hulk by any stretch of the imagination, but when he actually gets that axe and you see the demon bodies just splitting in two.
God.
Yeah,
Oh,
so good.
man.
So good. Like, and the way he looked, I mean, he looked like he should be on the cover of like a fucking Bolt
Molly
Thrower
Hatchet.
album or something. No,
Molly
like
Hatchet or Bolt Thrower.
Bolt
Yeah,
Thrower.
yeah.
They used
I mean,
to
I'll
have these
take Bolt
epic
Thrower.
war battle pictures for their album covers.
Oh,
and it's
yeah.
just like, yeah, okay.
Well, see, I think Molly Hatchet because you had the big dudes with like armor and axes
fucking
and all that shit.
begins with an I'm fucking Man of War. Fucking
Man of War.
man.
There you go.
Fucking
There you
Man
go.
of War.
Perfect.
Dude.
Well, because
Perfect album cover.
Smith enjoys lots of different genres of music, especially early 90s alternative, but he also appreciates metal.
Yeah.
He has an affinity for the metal.
There are
Yes.
very few and far between popular properties that incorporate like cybernetics and technology with magic. There are few and far between, but He-Man was a big one for our age group.
Right.
Where in techno fantasy. It's a very rare find in fantasy to have that techno fantasy thing. And you know what really talks about techno fantasy? Fucking metal talks about techno fantasy.
True.
Yeah,
So-
Fear Factory talks about that a lot, actually.
Oh,
Look
yeah.
at like
dude, that's
half
our
of the
go-to.
fucking Iron Maiden covers. Like,
Iron Maiden. Well, Skinny Puppy, 9 Inch Nails. I mean, a bunch of like that
So, I mean,
industrial like.
if you're talking about like they've got like fucking robots and lasers and shit, but they also have fucking all these like crazy creatures and there's magic and there's sorcerers and shit like that. How are you not going to make it the most metal fucking conclusion you can find that God is dead, his power is up for fucking grabs, and then there's this super fucking metal techno fantasy battle,
And there's Hell on Earth.
and there's hell on earth.
I was going to say. I was going to say a side note. I really appreciated how they incorporated the animal type humanoid creatures as well. Like they were always so few and far between in the original series, but here you see them like
Just weird, just like
more interacting
some cute,
around.
some disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like no, these are
You're not just
part
going
of
to a
the-
specific village where a certain group lives.
Exactly.
It's
They're everywhere.
they're all around.
You're Beast Man, and like your entire village are just normal folks. And then you're this dude that looks like the fucking Chupacabra Sasquatch baby.
Wow.
And you're just like, sup, bros? And they're like, no, you're the weird fucking Chupacabra Sasquatch baby. Like,
I've got you did, but I've got some Beastman. I want to talk about Beastman.
So no, that's a good
Actually, you brought
segue
that
into
up.
what like. Can we talk about when the fuck did Beastman get any depth? Like, holy shit!
Thank you.
What the
That's
fuck?
that
wasn't a bad thing, but like, Jesus Christ, it was like out of nowhere. He started in part 1, but in the original series, he was just like, Skeletor.
I'll go call one of my creatures, and we're gonna go
he
beat up
was just like
people.
this
you
brainless-
got a little bit that he was in love with Evelyn.
Well,
a little bit.
But
Yeah.
like, I'm talking about like his thought process, especially in part 2. Like part 1, you still got he was protective and he had a thing for. Part 2, he's like, Jesus Christ, you're gonna drink some coffee at fucking Starbucks now with your laptop?
I think part of that goes back how they touched back on with Motherboard towards the end of the part. Yeah,
okay.
I think because he was part of that group, wasn't he?
Is that where they got him from? Is that where he like joined?
Or did he just join Evil Lyn when they went there?
He just joined it because he's like her protector. He was like,
Oh, okay.
in part 1, he was like her
then,
protector
then
the
yeah,
whole time.
Yeah,
So it's like apparently always been there, but like when he's not, because he was with Evil Lyn and not Skeletor in this one. Like in the original series, he was in Skeletor the whole time. He was with Evil Lyn, but like
again, there's so much of this that was alluded to in the original series, like little hints, but when you're 5 years old watching it, you don't give a shit.
No, fuck no, you don't.
But then you go back and remember, you're like, wait a minute, there's something about that, and the way part 2 really touched on like sitting there going, no, I basically play dumb, because he even says he's like, I'm not a leader. So he basically said he was playing dumb.
And Evil Lyn's like, no, but you've led many battles. I was told to, exactly.
Right.
And like, dude, and he like the person that he's actually showing that he's not a fucking idiot to, like that he's actually got thought and
is the person he's in love with.
And she just like fucking shits on him hard, dude. Like
You want to talk about like this is the most blatant like Stockholm syndrome with Evil Lyn and Skeletor ever. Holy,
like as soon as he talks against Skeletor after like she was all for like listening to him that one time, when it came back around, she just like shit on him
because even you find out the great backstory on Evil Lyn as well. Like that's the great. I love how these origins have been incorporated with telling the stories on stuff.
I dug her backstory, but that scene in that little alcove they were in is one of the few scenes where I think, and they have a few of those throughout the 5 episodes, where I was like, all right, they could have dialed it back a little bit. Maybe not with her backstory because we didn't know where the fuck she came from, but like with like part of Beast's like dialogue, it was kind of part of the thing that you see throughout where it's like, all right, dude. That was a little,
but that's
kind of fisting it in there. I'm just sorry, dude, because that was the cheesy factor.
But also, if you think about it, I think that was also a precursor to remind you, because if you look at what Skeletor is wearing, it was when he was still part of the Horde, and of course, by the end of the last episode, the little teaser there.
If I'm incorrect, please tell me. But the end of the last episode, where they're back in the techno,
big old spoilers.
Big old spoilers here,
right?
That was what's it? Is it Mordak? That was like that.
Mordak was the leader. They're actually called the Horde. It was because I looked it up. That's the only way I remember.
Yeah,
because I was like, wait a minute, because Mordak is also the main bad guy for She-Ra.
Yeah.
But the Horde, like Skeletor, actually came, if I remember correctly, because I didn't read all of it. I just wanted to double check what they were called. But Skeletor was part of the Horde. He was sent to Eternia to take it over, and that's why his whole like, I'm gonna beat up He-Man and kill their champion. That's part of the reason why he's so deadlocked on.
What was it like again? Okay, there it is. Yeah,
it's kind of like more like a Ferengi, but not.
So that's how the mini Skeletor should have sounded.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my god, if there was a bunch of mini like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Men from Afterlife, but it's just like just running around. So good. That would have been so good.
That would have been awesome. And they're just crawled up legs biting people.
Crawling up legs
like Meaty Ash
we can't
from Army of Darkness,
because there's too many of the little gremlin creatures running around.
Right, exactly. But he was supposed to
take a note, Kevin Smith.
Yeah, God. Mr. Smith. Because we know you're a listener anyway.
Yeah, we know you're looking for
he lied. He lied.
Looking for notes from random podcasts
because he doesn't get enough of those. Anyways, right?
Yeah. Seriously.
But he was part of the Horde. He was supposed to take over Eternia, and I believe the Horde is still based on whatever She-Ra's home planet or whatever is.
Yeah.
So
we're going to be getting if we do get a third part, we're going to have who taught Skeletor to be, I guess, single-mindedly focused on killing He-Man.
Essentially.
We're going to get like a cyberpunk Skeletor. Ooh. Like, he was turning all robotic and shit at the end, like when she was feeding him all that microchip blood, whatever the fuck they call it. Forget what they called it. I think they called it something in part 1, but it was like oil and microchips or some shit. Dude, I don't know.
We recorded part 1 for so long ago. I don't know.
Well, I think what was being suggested with the way that Skeletor was being used in part 2, and the fact that how he ended his battle with He-Man is that He-Man just like fucking chucked him into space.
Yeah.
You're good. Like that it was almost like a nonsensical like, okay, listen, the plot doesn't need you right now. Just go.
Go away.
Go.
Actually, you want to know the downfall of Skeletor, which is the downfall of so many men? He just wanted to get laid.
Yeah.
He just wanted to get laid.
His thing with He-Man went like super
Above board.
deep, dude. Like, because he was like,
Right.
Zoe's always supposed to end, He-Man. Just you and me. I'm
Yeah.
like, what? No, like, what the fuck?
That
Like,
even Evelyn was like, bro, you have all the power of the universe, and all you want to do is kill this fucking dude. You could like murder his family by like making them vibrate to death, and you're like not doing a goddamn thing about it. Like,
Right.
you just want to crush him with your bare hands. Just fucking murder him. Like,
yeah,
why
like,
is
get it
this?
over with.
And I totally agree. Don't get me wrong when I say this, but I think that's part of coming back to what we've mentioned about we're basically prepping for the next big thing to happen in this Masters of the Universe series or type of world
Mm-hmm.
where, yeah, that's all Skeletor cares about. So it's very easily for the Horde, Mordok or whoever, or somebody else to just slip in and be like, I'm going to start taking over, which can also introduce She-Ra, who knows, it'd be one part of this crossover thing, and then the next part, we have a new champion because some fucked up thing happens to He-Man.
Oh, I'd
You
love
know,
Again, Adam,
I would
yeah.
love to
Yeah,
see some like
again.
multiverse She-Ra He-Man thing that
Yes.
happens in part 3 would be so fucking rad.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I think that's the build-up because, like they said, if they just stopped it now, it's done. Cool.
Yeah.
It was a great story.
No shit's still going on
But-
in Eternia. It's still fucked up.
But if the writing is done properly, do you get the right characters, the right storyline, and all that? Oh, it could get good, like real good.
Yeah.
Which I do want to dig in a little bit into the obsession on He-Man that Skeletor has.
That's what I'm saying. It's
And-
unsettling, dude.
Yeah,
especially,
right. And-
especially towards the end. Like I said, hell on earth. Fucking, why do you have this boner to still kill He-Man? Like, but you have to do it like a mano a mano and not just like
Yeah.
fucking off grid. Just kill him.
Yeah.
We'll dig
like-
back to that a little bit more when we're done with the break.
Yes.
We're at
Yeah,
the break now.
yeah.
So stick around, listen to some of the other shows on the network. And when we come back, we're going to talk about our sponsors, what we're drinking, drunk a scene or two, and of course, some more Masters of the Universe.
There you go.
Revelation Part 2. So stick around. We'll be right back.
Coming straight from the mouths of madness, I'm Lowdown.
I'm FU Hunter.
Do you love horror?
We fucking do.
So this is a podcast dedicated to all things in cinematic horror. We're talking movies, television, composers, special effects artists. We're gonna fucking cover it.
So if you love horror,
Embrace the madness.
My name is Amy Bogard,
And I'm Mike the Hobbit.
and we are the hosts of Deeply Upsetting, where we use our expertise to answer your most upsetting hypothetical quandaries, such as what non-winged animal deserves wings?
And what body part deserves a secret mouth?
Which cryptid is the worst roommate?
These questions and more that plague you will be answered on Deeply Upsetting, available anywhere you get your podcasts and at GUIPodcast.com.
We're back for the second half of Geeks Under the Influence, all things Masters of the Universe Revelation Part 2 specifically. Though we will definitely be spoiling Part 1 as well if you've
I
not
have
seen
the
it.
power.
That's weirdly, the inflection is perfect. You
Right?
nailed that so hard. More important things is our sponsors, the people that help us get a little bit of dough to get this dough fisting
There you go.
going.
There you go.
Let's say
That's-
fist that dough.
Fist
The
dough.
fist that dough.
Fist that dough.
First off, of course, is Amazon.com. It is the holiday season, and it is
It's the
virtually
holiday
impossible
season.
to get everything done that you need to by going store to store and trudging along and getting all your stuff done. It's just the nature of the beast has changed, and online sales is kind of the name of the game nowadays. And we know you're shopping Amazon.com. The little gift that you can give to Geeks Under the Influence is not doing anything different than you're already doing. Besides, instead of going directly to Amazon, go to GUIPodcast.com. Click on our Amazon link. Anything that you purchase through that link, we get credit for. So your holiday present to us is doing the same thing you're doing on Amazon, but we're getting a little bit of credit for it. So we're getting just a little bit of that money that you're spending on Amazon so that we can buy ourselves some gifts like better equipment and booze.
Or our loved ones' gifts.
Or our
too.
loved ones' gifts as well, yes.
You selfish
Wait,
bastard.
when did we start geting paychecks?
I know, right?
What the hell?
Yeah,
That's
maybe
because
one day.
people need to spend more money on Amazon.com so we
There
can
you
get
go.
paychecks.
Please help.
Yeah, definitely. The biggest time that we get a big bump during the year with Amazon is during the holiday season. And so please do your best to remember to go through our link at GUIPodcast.com. That way we can get a little bit of money during the holiday season, and that's your little gift to us. That's your little,
Yay!
little present.
And we appreciate it.
Besides just being the great listeners you are.
Well done.
Yes.
Well done. Yeah.
Yes.
Another way to celebrate the podcast network is to go to TeePublic. TeePublic. This time of year, there are sales upon sales upon sales during this time of
I
year.
was about to say, they even go like out of the weekend.
Yeah,
like during the
it's
week
like-
sales
To this point,
this time of year.
if you do not see something on sale when you go on our TeePublic page, wait like a day or two tops,
Right.
and it will be on sale. That's
Truth.
It's that time of year. So
Yeah.
definitely check out GUIPodcast.com/store to check out the link to the TeePublic page, or just the TeePublic link on our homepage at GUIPodcast.com. We've got a bunch of different designs. Just recently dropped the Zaddy Issues design from Deeply Upsetting.
I feel like I should get that one.
I should hopefully get the approval on the Dune design
nice.
any day now, so that we
Dude,
can put
I'm so
that.
ready
It's
for that
such a
shit.
cool
Yeah.
fucking
Please
design.
come out during the holiday sales.
Right.
When I was done with that design, I went, "Oh well, fuck!" That turned out really good.
Yeah. Like, I'm really,
Hell yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that turned out really
Yeah.
solid. So
Oh.
I'm excited for that one. We have a few other designs that we're hopefully going to be able to drop during the holiday season as well as the 40 plus designs. We have not removed our Halloween season designs as well.
Rest of
So-
the year.
So they're available through the first of the year. So definitely think about that when you're thinking about shopping designs. Not just t-shirts. We've got coffee mugs, to-go travel mugs,
tote bags,
onesies.
notebooks, yeah,
buttons, stickers, baby
Yeah.
onesies,
magnets.
all sorts of shit.
Truth.
You can get all the designs available. We even tapestries.
Don't forget about the Masters of the Universe design that was up from part 1 is still up there too.
That is very true. That is a very cool design.
I love
that-
that
It's
design.
rad.
Yeah,
I love
it's
it.
fucking rad.
One of my favorite, just like GUI designs.
What?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Simplistic but yet noticeable.
Yeah, I really enjoy
Falcon
that.
Winter Soldier one's another one.
Oh god, that turned
yeah,
out really
turned
good
out really
too.
good.
That is a good
Yeah.
one.
So yeah, check out the website and check out all the different designs. There's definitely going to be at least one thing that makes your eyebrow raise when you're checking it out.
Faux show.
And that's the best way to give back to the podcast, is to support us with buying our merch and telling folks about where it came from.
Yes.
Like-
That's always helpful.
Your grandma's like, "What is this Geeks podcast shirt?" And you're like, "Oh, it's this. They talk about dicks and Star Wars." And
You
your
love it,
grandma's like,
Grandma,
"Oh,
totally.
I love dicks and Star Wars." And then your
Grandma.
grandma starts listening.
Honestly,
sure you do, Grandma. Let's go to bed.
grandmas these days? Yeah, that's possible.
All
That is
right.
the conclusion of our sponsorship part of the podcast.
Now for
want to talk about Orko.
Next up, of course, is the real drive of this podcast. What gets us going, the gas in our tank. We're talking about what we're drinking.
Hey, we're fucking drinking. We're getting drunk. You want to know? Well, here you go.
Hey,
Hey,
just the plain one tonight.
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
we need to make a rock opera version for shit like Epic Is This.
Oh my god, we
Right.
should have just like a full on like 3-minute version of like, hey, and then it's like, we're fucking drinking.
And just, like,
Yeah, exactly. It's like a blistering solo. Like,
Yeah.
fucking.
We should work on that for the next con that we go to.
Yeah, musician friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's get a 3-minute epic what we're
Fucking-
drinking
that'd be fucking rad.
piece. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
But speaking
That
of
works.
epic, we do have some pretty delicious booze to drink on this
Talk
evening.
about what you brought. It's pretty tasty.
This is
Way better
delicious.
than I
This
thought
is
it would be.
from Three Floyds Brewing Company, which is kind of like a double down, where there were three masters of the universe really on the second half. There was Evil Lyn, Skeletor, and He-Man fighting over control over the power, basically.
Yeah.
Truth.
And this is the Three Floyds Alpha King, which also very much works
Yes.
in relation to who's in charge of this shit.
No, like
Basically.
apparently nobody right now. I'm just
Right.
kind of fighting.
That
over
is
it,
the
you
most
know?
nihilistic shit that I feel that like Kevin Smith channeled his like emo Kev years of being like, everything's dead and nothing matters. Where he was like, yeah, this universe is controlled by no one because God is dead.
Yeah, he's just
Fuck.
Yeah.
yeah.
Was that the final nail in the coffin for after doing Dogma leads to
Oh yeah, just God's dead.
God's dead in Masters of the Universe.
And now I want him to do a Dogma sequel because he's already said that he doesn't believe in God anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I would love to see the director of Dogma doing Dogma 2, but as a nihilistic atheist.
Oh,
would
my
be the
God.
most amazing thing ever.
Dude.
Oh, he just like brings back Beelzebub and Loki, and they're just like in a bar, like, nothing to fucking do.
Yeah.
Just like sitting here. Fucking
No, it turns out that it was just like a higher up form, terrestrial form that was like fucking with them the whole time, and there isn't actually a god.
You just see Alanis Morissette skipping in the background
Alanis
occasionally
Morissette was-
until the end.
Gotcha.
It was just like an alien on mushrooms that convinced them that they were angels or something.
You know who couldn't come back
That'd be
though.
so
You know who
good.
couldn't come back though. Fucking Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman.
God damn it.
Aw.
No, and not to bring it down, but like he was amazing.
Oh, yeah, he
in
was
that
right.
fucking movie.
That would.
Well, then
Yeah.
cheers to Alan Rickman.
Yeah,
Alan
let's,
Rickman.
let's do
Why
it.
not?
Oh,
Doesn't
Jesus.
have to be just when they die.
No,
Right.
Just when you think of them.
And he was such.
And
he
these
was
days,
like.
they could
and the
always
thing
do a
is,
hologram.
I know it was a more higher budget Kevin Smith film, but it was still like the fact that he had to read that and like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have this. Yeah. You
True.
know. Anyway.
True.
I just watched the documentary about Jagged Little Pill that came on HBO Max.
Oh yeah, yeah.
With Amy Bogard. And one thing that I do love is that removed any doubt in my mind that Alanis Morissette was riding the grunge train. She was a 15-year-old pop star in Canada that did like really douchey, like Tiffany style, like mall rock stuff.
They totally based Robin Sparkles from How I
Yep.
Met Your Mother on her. Yeah.
But her turn was entirely her own, where she was like, "No, I kind of want to write my own shit," and like I and started wearing baggy clothes, and part of that was actually because of trauma. So
Yeah.
that was completely her own thing, and seeing that, I'm like, okay, so all the shit that I gave her about like being a tryhard and trying to have some grungy elements, no, she earned that.
Yeah.
she
Earned
earned
it.
that.
Yep.
So
Very true.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
And-
fair enough.
and she did date Dave Coulier.
Dave Coulier.
Just
Even
yeah.
in the documentary, she's like,
Supposedly-
everybody mentioned Dave Coulier, but I was dating like 8 other dudes at the time too.
Right.
Like,
Well, remember the big joke was about going down in a minute theater and all that with her
Yeah,
big
yeah,
hit
yeah.
was that's where people were like were finding out going, oh, you dated Dave Coulier from Full House. You sucked his dick in a theater? Holy shit. Yeah,
well, the worst part
was,
is that she got famous for like all of her like grungy stuff when she was like 19.
right.
So whoever she was talking about, I think that might be part of the reason why she hasn't been overtly talking about it, is that they were a pedophile. Like they
Yeah.
were literally fucking with an underage.
Right.
'cause it had
Because
her,
she's talking
like-
about years prior.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Ooh,
Puts a
dirty.
Yeah.
different tone on that a
Exactly.
little bit. Yeah. So we're
All right, yeah,
detracting.
detracting. It's happened. It's off the
Specifically.
rails.
So-
Off the rails. Right.
Orko.
So Alpha King is a solid. I like it.
Yeah, you know what? For
Yeah.
a pale ale, I'm not normally big on things that lean on the hoppier side, but this is pretty well balanced.
We
This is mild enough that I'll take it.
and it's not super mild. I mean, it's only like 0.4% less than like Falcon Smash.
It is 6.66%.
Oh fucking A! Hell on earth. Here we go.
Right. Wait a minute.
God.
I'm talking about hoppiness. ABV, I'm not worried about.
Oh, okay, I got
yeah, I'm just talking about it's
you.
low.
And we kind of have polar opposites as far as shares go too, which is
It's weird that I bring the hoppier element.
I know, dude. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's weird.
So I have as always, I tend to go East Coast Loco.
Wow.
well, mhm.
As I'm pushing my glasses.
That's right. I smell my own farts. South Park episode, dude. The
I know,
pretentiousness. Yeah.
I
You
know.
try to get that and put that as the end episode thing. At the end of it, it's like, GUIPodcast.com. I smell my own farts.
Do it. Oh, dude, that'd be hilarious.
Yes.
I went with Midnight Brewing Company. They're a little bit outside of Richmond. They're in Rockville area, which is like, I don't know, 15 minutes west.
But the fact of how much they're part of a conversation about Richmond beers being that far outside of the
Dude,
city
right?
is
Yeah.
an attestment to how good their booze is.
Seriously. So this is their Christmas at midnight. I look forward to it every Christmas since I pretty sure it's the first year they released it, which was really hard to find that year.
Mm-hmm.
Because distribution now it's like you can tend to be able to find it pretty Total Wines and your local
I like
even
that.
your local beer stores.
I gotta finish the other drink first, but I just tried
It's
some of that.
fucking solid
fucking
and
beautiful.
I remember the place I went to 101 Craft House to pick this up. He was like, dude, we got it in Tuesday and I need to order another fucking cake.
Nice.
That's how. But I mean, everyone is like coming in for growler fills, like
Nice.
It's a solid beer, man.
I love the seasonal spiced beers that come along with the holiday season. Now there are some that know how to do a proper balance of spicing.
Some don't.
There's some that just throw every spice in the cabinet at their holiday beers.
And it doesn't taste like I'm getting a mouthful of alcohol, sugary, like whatever as well. You know,
there's a beer, and I'm not gonna shit on the brewery, but there's a beer that came out and it's called Frosted Sugar Cookie, and I made like a 6-pack of newer Christmas beers I hadn't had before.
Mm-hmm.
I like gagged. Like I'm not one to pour out beer even if I don't like it because I don't like wasting beer.
Right.
I took 2 sips just to make sure and down the drain, and I'm like crying.
That's bad.
I hate pouring out beer. It's a thing with me. I hate pouring out beer. Well, it was. I felt like I was drinking fucking Dimetap.
So on that, okay, so that is what we're drinking. We're gonna get to Drunken Scene at the end of the episode, but let's get back into He-Man. Masters of the Universe Part 2, Revelation Part 2. On the second half, I wanted to dig in a little bit into kind of the motivations of the characters that are existing. The one that we really didn't dig into a whole lot is the moment where Savage He-Man is about to murder his father.
Right.
Dude, I mean, like, literally, after he'd already ripped through other creatures, I mean, he destroyed...
Literally. He was...
He had blood dripping from his hands. Like, you've never seen that in He-Man.
Like, they're walking by, there's like an elk or something, and they're like, he's been by.
Yeah.
He ripped this animal in half.
No, Cringer's drinking out of the river, and all of a sudden you see red.
Yeah.
And you're like, bleh. And it's not even like a random animal. It's another like creature that lives in the
area.
Like
Ura.
the Ura.
Yeah. Ura.
Yeah. The Ura of Eternia. You know?
Eternia.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. All right, let's just...
Anyways.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. That it's the funny part that where it's so you mentioned that because what kicks him off, where he even almost hurts one of his friends, is mentioning his father.
Mm-hmm.
Because, he almost crushed her fucking arm, dude.
Right. Oh, I was in there going like, oh, I don't want to hear a bone snap. I don't want to hear a bone snap. Because you hear like that leather like twisting sound, and you're like, oh, it's going to get close. And I forget what this, like something distracts them, and that's where they find
the horn.
Where they actually did the horn in the encampment and all that. Yeah. So and then they find his father, and they go through that whole dramatic.
And that was one of those dialogues that Stephen, you were talking about earlier, where there were some lines that were justifiable.
Yes.
And I feel like, I agree that moment, you needed that breathing room for the father to have that conversation.
They never had that. As soon as it happened in part 1, he was gone.
Right.
They never had.
They had to evacuate the palace.
He never got a chance to like even let it sink in to have a conversation with his son. It's like this whole time, my son is He-Man. Like the family had
and they thought he was dead at that point.
They thought he was dead.
One thing that I see so important about that scene is that with anything that you watch, there's going to be some parallel to what it represents in a person's life.
Yes.
You know, the whole point of storytelling is to have something that you can latch onto, that you identify with.
Yeah, identify with, yeah.
Right.
And so for this scene, there's this character, there's He-Man and also Prince Adam that has never really been seen by his father before.
Nope.
And has been like judged by his father and was never able to kind of like live by his father's rules. And there was like this secret that he kept from his father. And there's such a clear line to people watching the show that are part of the LGBTQ community or just, you know,
anybody
are non-religious and live in religious households.
If you're quote unquote outside of the norm.
Yeah, exactly.
Really. I mean, if you are an outsider, period.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah, there's so many different elements that this moment like has an additional punch to it where there's a father that realizes like the worst thing that I had to deal with was realizing that I wasn't there for my child when they needed me the most and wasn't I took my own opinions above being there as a parent and him completely like recognizing that and like owning it and being available for that and being like, I am sorry, this is my fault, like you deserve better, and like all the things that all these people in the world like are dying to hear from people in their lives.
Yeah.
So I guarantee that there were a number of people watching this moment that were like fucking dying.
very much
And I
so,
literally,
very
well, I
much
literally
so.
think, I mean, we know Kevin Smith's all about his exposition, right?
Yeah,
And I really do feel like that was one of the reasons why that was there. I mean, there was an opening with the writing in part 1 to have this
Oh yeah,
come
yeah,
about
yeah.
in part 2. But as far as 2, it's like showing that, like, I mean, his father was basically like, when he hugged him, he didn't know what was going to happen. He was like just embracing his death. But he knew he still told his son, I love you and I'm proud of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what I mean? There's so much there, like, in that
Right.
one little scene. And like, that's why I said that one was very, very important. I think
Yep.
it needed to
Absolutely, absolutely.
you know?
And it's just that moment of like that's what it took. Like the like sun's getting real low.
Yeah.
The version
Yeah.
of sun's getting real low is understand that your dad does love you.
And I
Right.
think
Yeah.
there was I think there was also a statement there that is Adam's pure rage.
Sure.
Right.
He internalized
Well,
it.
I mean,
But I think that's what we're seeing.
No, there's no more rage than fuck you, dad rage.
Yeah,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
truth.
I think it was just so internalized that, like, when he got the power, that's what his fuel was.
Right.
So that's why that was able to turn him off.
yeah.
You know, because he's been hiding that for how long? You
Yeah.
know, I mean,
I mean, if he were to do
Like-
it again, I'm sure it would be something similar, but not quite out of control.
yeah, exactly.
You know, it would still be like
But
more
he's
like
smart enough not wanting to do that. So
Oh,
that's
well,
not even
yeah,
a question,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So he didn't. He was like, no, I'm not doing that again.
But that's the reason why a perfect like comparison to it was the Hulk. You know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm just waiting for like one of the incel internet trolls that have been like shitting on the series constantly to have this moment where it's just like that the one thing that like made He-Man like a rage monster was like recognizing he didn't get the love from his father that he needed. And then
Yeah.
the father like backed down and was like, yeah, no, like I love you and like I'm wrong. And then that called the beast. And I just see this like incel that hated He-Man being like, see, Dad, that's how you do it, you piece of shit from the basement.
Right.
Just like angry, like even Kevin Smith gets it and I hate him. Like,
It's just this whole tirade of like, you made me love something I hate.
These dumb bastards do better parenting than you. I want He-Man's dad to be
And
my
as far
dad.
as thinking that's where his rage comes from, that's just what I took from the fact that that's what brought him down.
Right.
That's just
Oh, yeah.
what seemed to make sense
well,
to me
it was
in that
the
scene.
singular focus. That,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That once he got into that mode, the base level of his brain was all about kind of revenge a little bit for the.
Well, and it even sparked a
Yeah.
little bit because Tila was mentioning about his family and
And
specifically
when you saw,
his
that's
father.
when he almost broke her fucking
Right,
arm, right?
exactly, yeah.
So it all lines up to think that's where Adam's rage comes
It-
from.
it was
and that's what
laid out
Grayskull
just right,
That's
yeah.
what Grayskull harnesses.
Right.
The power
Well,
of
the
Grayskull.
swords and all
the
that.
sword, well,
yeah.
the sword gives them the power. I mean, it all harnesses.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get what you know what I mean.
It all works together.
You know.
That's a conversation Amy Bogart and I have had a lot is that like the worst thing that you can do to your kid is make them feel like your love it has some rules attached to it.
That it's
Yeah.
conditional.
Like
Yeah.
Yeah.
Conditional love is bullshit.
Yeah, no.
You know,
your
I
love
mean-
is
I love you.
unconditional.
If you,
Yeah.
like, no.
You have to succeed to get my love.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
No.
That's no good.
No. So
Anyway, but that was a very crucial scene. And there was another scene that was kind of lame. We'd already talked about the Beast one, and
Well, we were mentioning during the break, especially where there were even just certain lines that just were like, I understand you're trying to ham up a scene a little bit, but it just didn't flow very well.
it did
you
take
know.
you out of it, and again, we're talking about a fucking Masters Universe. Like again, we're not talking about this Oscar nod fucking thing,
no.
but
well, I think
still,
that's important to say is that like any dialogue that is written in this version of it is hands down better than any of the things from the original.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
exactly.
Like, because it was like Skeletor, I come to hit you, and Skeletor went like, "Ma, ha, 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 ha. You can't hit me, He-Man," and that's the whole episode.
Yeah.
That was actually really good.
That was.
that actually was pretty good. OG Skeletor.
Better than my.
It's just ugh.
But yeah, like we're talking about the more nuanced approach that's happening in this series.
Exactly.
You know, like on its
yeah.
own merits,
Yeah.
what is happening is that there's definitely some over the top moments, a little bit ham-handed. shoving it in like
Yeah.
a marshmallow through a keyhole, like after a night of drinking level of
Fisting marshmallow
like
through a
fisting
keyhole.
marshmallow through a keyhole, kind of action
Just
happening.
Steven's face
what-
whenever we talk about fisting in this episode is great.
What I would say is if we're talking about like Kevin Smith, I would call it whiskey shtick, where it's trying to make it work when it really doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
But
Yeah.
for the most part, I'm still pretty close to an A on this title. But
yeah, I think I would. I think I'd give it
Yeah.
an A.
There's enough of the story arc, the other things that happen, and like we mentioned, the way obviously this world is just in this 2-part series, the way this world is opened up so much more than how many seasons of the original show. Just where like we
It's not even how many seasons. It's the amount of episodes in the seasons.
oh
Holy
yeah,
fuck,
yeah.
dude.
There was like what they did like those full like 20 something odd
30,
episodes.
Yeah, there's an
like
insane
per
amount
season.
of episodes.
And there was at least 4 seasons, I
Yeah,
think.
there's a lot.
Jesus.
another thing is that we haven't really touched on a whole lot is Man at Arms coming to terms with, well, and also Tila realizing
Oh,
that
yeah.
like she has a prophecy that
Yes.
she has to fulfill, and how she comes to terms with it, which Scotty, you mentioned earlier, and then we're going
Right.
to come back to, is that the conversation of her wrapping around to accepting the fact that she's the new sorceress, but also doing it, being like,
Do it my way.
I'll do it my way.
Right.
Which, like, definitely was like a fucking, I'm going to rewrite this shit so this is okay, where sorceress had to be in Grayskull, and she was like, nah, bruh.
Not
doing
gonna
that.
happen. Not
My
gonna
friends are
happen.
my power shit.
Oh yeah.
Was
That
like,
was
Yeah.
definitely,
It
yeah,
was
that
a
was
little-
one of them. That was
it was
one of
a
them,
little
dude. I'm sorry.
heavy-handed.
That was cringy. Those things can be written, and it comes across without that. Like, I get the
and-
idea
and
because
it's hitting
Right.
that same
it
trope
makes,
of like,
it's truth.
your
but
story can be rewritten,
Yes.
even if you
Exactly.
follow the path that you kind of are supposed to follow.
Mhm.
You can kind of rewrite it to make it yours.
Yes.
You know, and that's what it was trying to convey, and it did. It did. a
Right.
pretty good
Well,
job of that.
I mean, this whole new version of the show is, I mean, it is breaking out of the same old bullshit
Yes.
when it comes down to everything. I mean, this is basically rewritten this universe, like, and there were some of those slow parts. Again, like Tila trying to explain to her mom, the previous sorceress, of like, well, I'm doing it this way, and it's just like, you could have said that, like, wrapped it up in 2 sentences,
Yes.
essentially, and like,
Yes.
let's get to the shit.
yeah.
Exactly.
You know, like, I understand giving it the depth, giving it the full, like, this is how things are. Grayskull's under new management, as she would say. You know, it's
right.
like,
Yeah.
but
correct.
yeah,
Couple sentences, done.
but it's broken the norm. It's given us something so much new to work with.
Yeah.
So
And I agree that there is a little bit of rewriting happening, but also there is
Sure.
literal writing happening that before the series came out, there was so much unexplained stuff
right,
that existed in this universe. And to have a series that came in that was not so focused on He-Man that it was just He-Man dry humping the top of a tank until the lid came off, you know, which was a scene that I remember very vividly from my youth.
early interweb
That
days.
he like dry humped the top of a tank off is
Yeah.
the thing that he did.
true.
Like, let's brass tacks like how like this is what you're so like protective of, Toxic Fanboy, is this like wooden fucking dialogue that was written after they had created the toy. Like it was written to justify the toy. The toy already existed.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
Like there was a wealth of a universe that was yet to be explored. And Kevin Smith went in and went, I love the series. I love the toys. I love this universe. Let me try to connect the dots here a little bit. And I think he did it in the most fucking metal way you possibly could.
Right.
Yes.
God is dead.
Hell on earth.
Hell on earth.
Yeah.
Well,
Kill heaven.
Kill-
Kill
and I think
heaven.
that's
Kill
part,
heaven.
and I think that's part of the reason why this series did so well, because there was at least one reboot and at least one where they tried to remake it
well, no,
in general.
they had
something.
the He-Man like 2000 where it came out after the
Which
original
he
Master of
did,
the Universe.
he did
Yeah.
give nod to as well
He
in
did.
this series.
He did,
Yeah.
but I think the whole point of it, instead of trying to redo everything, he was just like, you know what, we're just going to pick up where we left off, and just get, like we've been mentioning now. This second half is just I'm opening this door that we can actually have a universe and not just be like Masters of the Universe. There goes random B dude. I'm He-Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it. You know.
Yeah, because I remember watching the second reboot. It came out in that reboot that came out in the 90s. It was it came in 2000s on Saturday morning, and I was like, this is shit.
Oh, it was garbage.
It was terrible. Anyway, some other things with this that were good as far as the writing went, because you talked about new writing, like latching on to Teela's story or the Man-at-Arms and the family story, like when the sorceress dies, Man-at-Arms' response.
Oh,
you've never seen him that raw about anything.
Yeah.
He's been angry, but like that shot, but like
calls her my love.
but the thing is,
dude.
it made you think for a second. So that is one of the scenes that made you think, because you're like, wait a minute, bitch been gone for years, but then you're like, wait a minute, he always knew where she was, and he could feel her because she is what's keeping everything together.
And he respected why she was there.
Exactly.
Right.
And they both sacrificed their life in service of the greater good of Eternia.
Oh,
He was Man-at-Arms, captain of the guard, running the fucking
Yeah,
royal
she
army.
was the nun. He was the priest.
Dude,
Yeah, basically.
I mean, think about it.
Forbidden love.
Right? Think about it. It was just like they were both so selfless that they dedicated their lives to protecting, but they couldn't be together. And I don't know about her. I mean, she could sense obviously him with her power, but he could feel her power through the magic that is Eternia.
Right.
I thought that, like, once you see that scene and then you kind of think about it, you're like, oh fuck, man, that was hard. dude.
That
was
relationship
hard,
is
man.
deep.
Yeah.
It's deep. Well,
Yeah.
and even the sub feelings. Take some of the other ones where like Fisto and the Clamp dude, like where like when Skeletor had all the power and he's like, oh, they're supposed to go to Preternia, right? Nope.
Oh yeah,
And like totally extinguishes their souls,
God,
and he's like, no, they're basically burning in hell now.
yeah, they're in the subterranean.
And you're like,
There you go.
yeah, and you're like, fuck. And then when Orko comes back, and then at one point
Oh,
we're
God.
Let's talk
All right.
about Orko.
Orko, yeah,
dude,
yeah.
because Orko, first off, you never forget about Orko, but then you're like, wait a minute, there's no way he's down and out after the first part. So you're like,
He's pretty fucked in the first part though.
He
was
dude,
drained.
Although
Oh,
he
got
came out, came out like a fucking beast though. Like
No,
Truth.
he did.
truth. But
That was
then
powering up Orko. It was like, oh.
But then that moment when they won, and all the people risen from the dead are returning to wherever they're
Subternia,
and all that, and he's like, oh, technically I gotta go,
you're like, oh.
and they're like, and Teela's like, no, I'll give up everything.
Teela's like, oh fuck,
Right, because I corrected
Yeah.
everything, and now, oh shit, one of my best friends now has to like jet out. You know, I'm like, but I mean, obviously they saved him, which was a saving grace. I thought. I was like, as cheesy as it is, save fucking
save
Orko.
No, dude,
you know,
out of all things in the original series, like, you know, Orko was done like right. We talk about the blocky, you know, dialogue in the original series. But Orko is like he transcends that. He's written the same. He speaks in rhyme. He's you know, I didn't when I first saw Orko in part one, I was so happy because like nothing changed in that character because it didn't need to.
Right.
You know?
He's the R2D2 of C-3PO.
Exactly.
Very
like,
well.
you
Him
need that
and
character,
Cringer,
man.
him and Cringer,
Cringer,
technically,
exactly.
yeah.
Cringer too. Fucking
Oh,
between
yeah.
Battlecat and Cringer, like it was fucking.
Both of those characters, not only did they stay the same, but at the same time they did actually grow. They like there was actually
Cringer
some
grew
little
a lot. He got brave as Cringer.
Exactly, and even Orko finally sitting there going, well, again, you find out the history on him, and you're like, oh. Like the ultimate, like, I let my parents down because I'm not the Oracle.
Oh, in part one, yeah.
Oh, dude. But then he was like, I found my path. I'm still what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, exactly.
He done took care of business.
That's right. He took care of Scareglow real good.
Yeah.
Real good.
The one thing I want to settle on before we get out of this is the last scene where you've got Teela and Prince Adam, and they're talking about literally like the weirdest conversation after everything that's gone down, where you're fighting for the power of a god that you just found out been dead. Like,
dude,
and you understand the nature of the universe is this chaos that has this power that you two have access to, more than anybody else in your entire
Skeletor
fucking world.
was still powered up at the end.
Oh,
he didn't have the sword, but he was still powered up.
But they're sitting there and they're looking over at Eternia.
Yeah, but you got to remember the final scene.
And they're
true.
And they're talking to each other, and Prince Adam puts his hand on Tila's hand, and nothing about that scene suggests that it's romantic. That was suggested in a lot of the early series that he had like an attraction to Tila, like that was an unrequited love thing. I think that has changed over the time where there's like almost like familial touch.
Sister. Yeah.
The only reason why I say there may be something that they, I don't want to say push for or could insinuate, because he still blushes the typical blush, like, oh, you like me, type stuff.
Yeah.
They do put the blush in his face like that, where it's not like, you're my sister, I love you. No, it's like, I think something could be there.
It's more nuanced. It's that, like, I'm not expecting anything to grow from this, but at the end of the day, I'm happy to have you in my life. Kind of vibe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And especially when they just went to battle for
it was less nice guys finish last. It was more of
very much so.
More of a modern take where there isn't such a thing as friend zone. It's that, having a good friend isn't a participation ribbon.
Exactly.
It's actually pretty great to have somebody that you have that much of a connection with. But then the end scene with the techno, was it
motherboard?
The motherboard.
Yeah.
Motherboard.
Dude, the way she unfolded from that fucking what you think is just like a sculpture statue,
like a bird thing,
like a
or something.
It's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
The way she emerges from that, I'm like, holy fuck! And she's like huge,
right?
And like I said in part one, the whole time I was like, this dude, and all these fuckers are crazy. They are fucking nuts.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, I was like Skeletor. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, and you knew, because as far as I could tell, that robot woman or whatever that transformed from the bird thing wasn't a character, but obviously Skeletor recognized something before they gave away that she's part of the Horde in some fashion.
He knows. He's like, when he says like, it can't be. That's what he says. He's like, no, it can't be. And then like she moves her hand over and
he's
fucking
all injected with the
starts
cybernetic shit and all that.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one of the biggest openers if they do a part 3.
Yeah.
The Horde, Mordok, and all that is definitely going to be introduced.
I will say it's going to be kind of hard. I don't know, man. It's going to be kind of hard to top like the 3 badasses with like the power in this season, because that was fun to see. Like,
right.
The transference. You've never seen that before.
Right.
Like it's always been Adam.
Yeah. Oh,
Skeletor's always wanted it.
Yeah.
And then you get Evil Lyn, right? And then well, that's actually, I mean, technically 4. And then you get Tila, who's got this other power.
Right, as overall transformations. Yeah.
Everybody got the power where it's a skull.
We see He-Man where characters progress and get like larger than life and smaller than life and progress as characters. That's not what we got in the original cartoon.
No.
That doesn't mean it's bad. I think it's fucking epic and amazing as fuck. Like, these characters should grow.
No, they should, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What I'm saying is, like, it was so epic in this, it's going to be, like, in part 3, like, writers fucking get your A game straight.
Yeah.
Like, that, the way part 2 fucking rolled, especially in the, like, the story, the storytelling was good in the first year, but the last 2 episodes, like, y'all, you need to... You need to up it. You need to up that game for real, because that was really good.
Well, it was that good layout. Like one thing that I will always be impressed is, like, especially, it wasn't all just like, here's the origin story in the very beginning, now you have current. No, it was the way you do that back and forth a little bit.
It was constant.
Oh yeah,
it was like, remember this?
Yeah.
Hey, burp. Like, it was a flow.
Right.
There was always this. There's been natural flow in both part 1 and part 2 of expanding this universe.
Exactly.
And like I said, like,
and that's
don't lose that in part 3.
The final fuck you to the toxic fanboys that are shitting on this series.
Oh, that was
no good
He-Man
reason.
saying it's not about us. That to me is the final fuck you. They said in the show. It's like it's not about us, and like that's when he flings them into space.
No shit.
Yeah.
That was the ultimate fuck you
not
to all this
about us.
shit.
Exactly.
That was awesome.
How do you expect to expand this universe if you are focusing entirely on Skeletor and He-Man? There's so much more to explore.
And I'm
in this
done
world.
with that. I grew up with that. I'm done with that. Give me that, but build on that. And they've done that. They've gave me that, and they built on it.
So many other franchises have taken that route where it's just like, it's not just so and so versus so and so. No, you have G.I. Joe versus Cobra.
Exactly.
It's not just one character versus
Look
one
at the
character.
motherfucking Mandalorian.
No
Fuck
shit.
yes.
Like, I mean,
Fuck yes.
you got outside characters that are being pulled in, but this
Mandalorian's caused like 4 spin-offs
yeah.
because it opened up the universe.
Exactly.
Because ultimately, like, the thing that made, as much of a Star Wars fan as I am, the thing that made Star Wars incredible was not the individual characters as much as I love them. No discredit to the characters, but the universe was incredible.
Yes.
Let me explore the universe. Tell me more stories in this universe.
That's why the books were so great at one point before, like, when they were actually still canon and everything to go with the original trilogy.
Yeah.
Those books open up so much more than the movies did. And it like, you can finally be like, oh, that motherfucker. I remember seeing him in the background and blah, blah, blah. Dude, this was not He-Man, this was Masters of the Universe.
Both parts.
And there's still more characters to open up in Masters of the Universe.
Kevin Smith is making this so much closer to like a vignette you would see in a heavy metal movie. Like
I feel like you just want to see
like
I feel like you just want to see a crossover of Masters of the Universe and Metalocalypse.
I want to see that, and then I want to see like the big tittied woman on the fucking pterodactyl vulture thing. Heavy metal,
yeah.
Like coming in and saving He-Man, and like then he motorboats her or something. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Give me all the techno fantasy. Put it into like in my veins. Put it in my fucking veins, Kevin Smith.
I mean, I'll take it in a cup and drink it. I don't need it in the veins.
No, it'd be cool if it'd be cool if Masters of the Universe could go hard R just for a couple battle scenes where we literally have Deathlock playing in the background. Like, just fucking going at it, dude. That would be so fucking rad,
if Deathlock did a fucking soundtrack for any of the Masters,
right?
Oh my god,
wouldn't that be so sick, dude?
That would be the
Eternia coffee.
Yeah, because not only would it rip, it would be just ridiculousness like that.
Oh, for sure.
That's what I love about that band, because the music is so fucking technical and badass, but the lyrics are like it's just funny, stupid shit.
Thunder.
Yeah.
Oh,
no. Oh, fuck.
Anyway, I think we're at the tail end here.
Oh, well, the Metalocalypse, they save shit too in their videos. They shave the world a couple times in their videos.
That's true.
Too,
They save the world from them starting the world ending, I think. So.
Whatever, dude.
Hey, tomato.
Hey,
you know.
Semantics.
Yeah.
Running semantics.
Making a drunken scene.
We're going to do a drunken scene.
Blast, you idiots. Imbeciles.
I decided, because there isn't a lot of dialogue from part 2 of He-Man Revelation, or part 1, honestly, that...
sometimes they're late to the script uploading.
In alignment, we're doing the 1987 live-action Dolph Lundgren vehicle of Masters of the Universe. So the first one is Evil Lynn, that I'll be playing, and Skeletor by Scotty P. So here we go.
About the mercenaries.
It would be a pity to waste their talents.
Pushing her away towards them.
Save your pity yourself if you fail. Take them and whatever troops and resources you need.
I was not suggesting that I go.
Then you should not have spoken. Leave immediately. When you find the key, send a sourcing signal. An attack force will join you, or I will follow.
All right. All right, Princess Bride. Like, you sound way more...
Well, you realize that's the guy that also plays the Grand Nagus from the Ferengi on DS9. So, that's why I say I totally sound like a Ferengi.
Ferengi
Fair.
as fuck.
Yep.
The next one is from also the 1987 live-action He-Man, because fuck it. We've got He-Man played by Lowdown.
Yo.
And I'll be playing... no, you're playing He-Man. Yeah,
I'm playing He-Man.
I am playing Skeletor.
and I'm
Meat
sorry.
Mitz is playing Skeletor.
I'm going to do my best to do the the cartoon Skeletor on this one.
I am not. I am sorry for what's about to happen.
Okay, so... Oh, no.
Oh, boy.
All right, so here we go. Whenever you're ready, He-Man.
I have the power.
You will not longer have stand between me and my destiny.
But I will. I told you that it's always between us.
Fuck.
Are you Samuel L. fucking Jackson? God damn.
I ache to smash you out of existence, to drive your cursed face from my memories forever.
Enough talk, motherfucker.
Yes, let this be our final battle.
Fucking Samuel L. Jackson as He-Man. Holy shit.
Thank you so much for listening to this. I think honestly really fun episode. Talking
This
about
is a great episode.
like
Fun
Yeah.
as shit.
techno fantasy insanity with a nihilistic tone with a dead god and heaven's been murdered. It's been
And-
that still blows me the fuck away. That
Right.
was such a hard fucking turn. But
No
holy
one
shit.
did you see that coming? I didn't see that coming.
No.
I'm going to murder heaven.
Who's like, okay, well, when Eva Lynn shows up, she's gonna be like, God is dead and I'm killing Evan. Then nobody, no, that's fuck. Holy shit! All right, so fuck you trolls. Like this
Yeah,
was hardcore as fuck. And
We even said that about part 1. The people who were trolling so hard about the changes and the way this is evolving, fuck you.
this is so much
For
more
real.
the
Seriously.
heavy metal series mixed with Eternia that
Oh,
I couldn't be
yes.
happier about it. I'm fucking on board. I'm ready. Yeah, there's some cheesy parts to it, but
Yeah.
overall, I'm very happy
But
with
like I
it.
said, everything I had a negative for, like I said, I still give it an A.
Yeah,
Like I
Yeah.
like it.
Oh, and we could definitely nitpick, like we were talking during the break and stuff. There's definitely things we can nitpick apart. But
It's
at
just
this
that we're
point,
nerds. We're really, really hard
Right.
nerds.
Yeah, yeah.
but at this point, why do that just for the episode when overall this fucking
exactly,
series
exactly.
is
It-
fucking
it-
phenomenal?
we
Exactly.
do actually want to hear what you think about this, so make sure to check out GUIPodcast.com. Join us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. Check out Scotty P on Geekfathers.
That's right.
On the off nights when we're not doing a GUI, we got GUI nights, and also From the Mouths of Madness with Lowdown Brown MacGyver.
Yo.
And
I got you.
and also when you get a chance, check out Deeply Upsetting and Smack My Pitch
I
Up.
was gonna
Yeah,
say. I was gonna throw it in there. Man over here, yeah, you got deeply upsetting.
All the shows.
and
All the
Smack My
shows.
Pitch Up, and no, he's backed off a little bit.
That's
you know.
yeah,
Backed off a little. I used to have 5 shows.
That's
Yes.
true. That's
Yes.
true.
So yes,
Yeah.
I've backed off a little
yes. Now it's 4.
bit. Now it's
technically.
just 4.
Right,
Yeah.
You know.
It's like
I needed a vacation,
for me.
you know, it's like, yeah.
Jesus Christ. But also definitely keep track of our social media stuff, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, because we've got a lot of stuff coming up in the near future. Not just new episodes for all the different shows, but we've got like live events that are going to be happening. We've got new merch that's coming out. We've got new announcements for the network.
I was going to say, we were talking about it at Virginia Comic-Con, and we haven't talked about it, but GalaxyCon is coming back to Richmond.
And
Fingers crossed.
There's some things in the works there. So
Fingers crossed. I don't want to give hopes up for anybody who, but
well, no, there should be hopefully some announcements in the
people know our
future on that.
stage.
Yeah.
People know our
So,
stage.
That being said, thank you so much for listening. Thank you to the panel. This has been such a good time talking about some of the most like fucking techno metal bullshit that I've seen in recent time. Fucking rad as hell. I'm excited to see He-Man like kind of crescendo the way that it has in the series.
Oh, dude.
And
Could be so good.
and we'll see you next time for another episode of Geeks Under the Influence. I'm Mike the Hobbit. Join us or die.
Shut the fuck up, you boob.
Join us or die. Join us or die. Or I will swallow your soul.
GUIPodcast.com.
Smell my own farts.